Festive showing that even Festive would have caught that ball that Nelson Aguilar dropped. That would have been the go ahead touchdown. And all the people who say Carson Wentz can't have a game winning drive, okay. Nelson Aguilar drops what would have been a perfect pass. That was right there. He drops it, and we have a tight end. As good as he's been, we have a tight end who always forgets where the first down marker is. I'm just saying. I'm just throwing it out there, and I get it. It of all the things to start a video with, it would be that. But man, I'll tell you what. And Eagles go down 24-20. The Falcons get their revenge. Oh, yippee-dee for them. I guess they're going to hang a banner up for that because they can't hang one up for anything else. But but anyhow, we'll just move on. We do know, by the way, Falcon fans, one of us did beat the Patriots in the Super Bowl. Just saying. But anyhow, you can all be happy now. 24-20. Yeah. You won the game. Finally beat the Eagles. Oh my God. Yeah, you had to finally do it after the Eagles had more injuries than I think. Did the Eagles have any other injuries going on the bus after the? What the hell was going on in Atlanta tonight? For God's sakes, every other play there was a guy going down. It just goes to show there's always these weird things happen when these two teams play each other. It's bizarre. I can't remember a game where I've seen as many players at the skill position just go down, and it is what it is. I'm not going to use that as an excuse because you're watching games every week, and every week you're going to have guys get hurt. I watched 2 games today, or saw 2 games today, where the quarterback got hurt, where Roethlisberger's out, where Drew Brees gets out, and both of them lost. But I'm watching this game, and it's like Deshaun's out, Jeffrey's out. Heard before the game, Dallas Goedert out with a calf injury that was plaguing him in the during training camp as well. Jeffrey goes out with a calf injury. Deshaun Jackson out with a groin injury. You had there were plenty of guys going into the tent for concussion protocol, including Carson for a time. He had some rib injury too. I mean, it was a hard hit game. I mean, it was a game where you could tell that it's only week 2. So again, I'm not going to use the word desperation because it's week 2, but you could certainly tell the Falcons really wanted this one because they didn't want to go 0-2, and it was against the Eagles that had built up a pretty decent rivalry with over the years. And by the way, Matt Ryan, I'm glad you celebrated so much after that Julio Jones touchdown as if you did it all. That was wonderful to see. It was a little lob pass. I could have made that pass myself. I'm just throwing it out there. It was a lob little pass. He got blocking and Julio did the rest. But Matt wanted to celebrate and pump his chest and look at me. He's turning into one of those hate-the-face guys. I'm sorry. And I have respect for the guy, local guy, but he's really turning into one of those hate-the-face guys. I'm glad they lost to the Patriots a few years ago. And it's the Patriots. It's hard for me to say I'm glad when they win, but you know what? And then we beat them the next year. That was good. But no, but this is the thing that makes sports what it is, right? This is why I've always said this about this series. I've always said this on my channel. It's the roller coaster ride. It's the ups and downs. It's all this stuff that the angst, the agony, and then the thrills, and you get that with football more than any other sport. And is it a perfect sport? No. I think the referees are absolutely atrocious in the NFL. I really, and I don't want to sound like a Saints fan. Okay, I really don't. But I don't even think you can wear stripes in New Orleans anymore. But I mean, my God! And look, they lost by 4. If the Eagles would have lost this game by 1 point, I mean, you make that call and that 2 point conversion that Carson Wentz was giving himself up. He's going in for the 2 point conversion. His knee touches. Oh, he's giving himself up. He's down. No, no, he's going in for. They just reinvent every rule. It's ridiculous. And the thing about it is these referees, they want it to be, they want to take over these games. And when you have big games like this, it is unbelievable. And look, there was a lot of things I think the players got away with in this game. There was some face masks that weren't called. There was the helmets that weren't called. It's funny because they wanted to call that down on Carson to try to protect Carson. But all these other plays where players are going out with concussion protocol issues, they don't want to throw a flag for any of that. No, face mask, we're going to let that go. Anything that can actually hurt a player, we're just going to let that one go away. But Carson going in for a 2 point conversion, his knee touches. No. He's giving himself up there. I know there's other fan bases that have it worse. I get it with the calls and the officiating. Officiating isn't what lost this game for the Eagles. I don't want to sound like a Saints fan, okay? But it's bad. It's bad across the board. I watch all these games every week. There's just horrible calls. Every week it's bad, and it's been bad for a number of years. This isn't just now. It didn't just start, but tough. What did I say going into this week, though, right? Get off to the fast start. And yet again, they didn't. I know there was injuries. I get it. You lose your top two receivers. You lose Dallas Goedert before the game. It changes things. Now you're playing with receivers. Young receivers you don't have a great rapport with. They're running wrong routes. Arthur-Whiteside, just not on the same page all that first half. And it's a problem. It's a problem. But even if they were, you went into this game, and every week's not going to be exactly the same, you know. But you do go into this game and you understand that the Falcons were awful against the run last week, awful. And I know they were on the road in Minnesota, and Cook is a hell of a back and everything. I get that, but they were horrendous against the run last week. And the Eagles come out passing the ball. The Falcons, their strength is some of the playmakers they have in the secondary. And you're passing the ball left and right on this team. Even with the hurt receivers. You don't have a number one receiver. You don't have a number two receiver. You don't have your number two tight end who could have been a weapon in this game. You had all of these guys out, and you're still throwing, throw. And I get it. I know it's a passing league. Just about every team in this league passes the ball like crazy. It's completely unbalanced. The running game is almost like a thing of the past. It's almost like prehistoric at this time. Okay, I get that. But you saw how the Falcons were manhandled. And I know the Falcons watched that film too. Okay? And there's prideful guys on that defense, and they have to watch that, and they have to be hollered at all week by the coaching staff there. And of course, they're going to be, going into this game saying, "Oh, everyone doesn't think we can stop the run. Oh yeah, we'll show them. It's our home opener, and this is what the Eagles are going to try. We're going to have to stop the run. We'll stop the run." So it's not like you're just going to be able to run on teams every single week. But to have that threat of it would have been nice. Jordan Howard, who I thought could have been one of the keys to the game tonight, hardly saw the field. And Miles Sanders, he might go on to be a great player in this league. His running style reminds me so much of Shady McCoy. I'm not saying he's Shady McCoy, but his running style, and I mean that when I say it's 3rd and 2, and you hand him the ball and he jukes and he dances and he tries to go out wide instead of going right down the middle for the first down. We used to see that all the time with Shady. He was a great back here. He's always going to be one of the great Eagles backs, of all time. Has the single season yardage record and everything like that, right? Great back when he was here. But the thing that annoyed us to no end with Shady is it would be 3rd and 2 or 3rd and 1. They would hand him the ball instead of going right up the middle and try to get the first down. He would try to dance and juke and spin and get to the outside. And every now and then he would make a big play. But a lot of times, what would happen? He would go 5 to 10 yards back. Oh, it was annoying. Love Shady. He was a great back here, had fond memories of him, the snow game against Detroit, everything, all right. But that was one of the most maddening things about LaShawn McCoy when he was here, was those short yardage runs where he would try to juke and do these Barry Sanders moves and go to the outside. And just, you needed 1 yard, and he would try to make it into like this 11 yards to get 1 yard. I'm seeing that with Miles Sanders, okay? Whereas Howard is really more of your, he's not pretty. His running style is not pretty. He's not going to have these highlight jukes, and spins. He's old school. He gets the ball, he goes forward. Okay? I really thought he would have a role in this game, particularly with the fact that you did have those injuries, and instead it was, we're going to throw. And to the point where, Wentz had some ribs, concussion protocol, and then we're still throw. I just think that this game, we're all going to remember the end of this game, and that's the unfortunate thing about sports, is you always remember the end. You don't quite remember all the other things that kind of had a role in a win or a loss besides what you last saw. And that's just human nature. Everybody has more memory of the last thing that happened than what happened. How many, if you did some great thing, you're not going to remember a day ago where you messed up or something, But here we had a situation at the start of the game where yet again the offense comes out stagnant, and they had injuries, and it is what it is, but they came out stagnant, not being able to establish much on offense. And it's not like the Falcons were just absolutely in total control of the game. But at the same time, again, this offense, which, as I said in the last video, when Frank Reich was the OC, and I know Doug Peterson still calls a lot of plays, but Frank Reich is there, they look so much better on offense to start a game. They would jump on teams. And then what happens is Frank goes off to the Colts, gets the head coach job, obviously, to his credit. Great job, Frank. But Mike Groh comes in as the OC, and these scripted plays are just not working. And part of that's Doug, too. It's like they don't work hand in hand as well as Doug was working with Frank Reich. You can tell. It's just completely different. And last season, this team struggled out of the gate in just about every game. And now so far through two weeks, you're seeing it again. It's 13 first half points through 2 weeks? 0 points in the first quarter through 2 games. And, they got away with it last week. They had a great second half. They came back, and they darn near did it again tonight. But you can't continue to put yourself behind the 8 ball. I don't care how much talent you have on a team. You can't keep coming out week after week, particularly on the road, week after week, and just not being able to do much on offense. It has to get better. The play calling has been atrocious to start games. These scripted plays are just not working. They keep trying. It's very vanilla. They're very predictable. It's bad. It's been bad. And they're the team that's getting jumped on early. Now the Falcons didn't jump on them the way the Redskins did. The Redskins, it was 17-0. Falcons had it was 3-0. There's a big difference there, okay? At halftime, it's a 10-6 game. So two things I think really that cost the Eagles in this game was getting off to a slow start and the turnovers. 3 interceptions by Carson Wentz. And that hurts. It's tough to win a game when you're turning the ball over at least 3 times. It's tough. The Falcons got away with it, okay? They turned the ball over themselves 3 times. Interceptions, okay? The Eagles had 3 first half interceptions. Falcons had some interceptions too. The biggest turnover, though, came at when the second half started on a Corey Clement fumble on the opening kickoff of the second half. Horrible. And the thing is, the Eagles always defer to the second half if they win the coin toss. They deferred to the second half, and now you lose it because you deferred to start the game. The Falcons got a field goal. And then on your second half possession, your first possession, Clement has the fumble. And it was a great play by the Falcons hitting the ball out of his hand there at the end, but that's 10 points because the Falcons got a touchdown off of that. That's 10 points right there on the first 2 possessions of the halves. You lose the game by 4 points, but those 10 points are big. And okay, if you're going to defer and you give up a field goal in the first half, it's not horrible. But then the second, that turnover, that fumble, that was killer. That was big. Because you wipe that touchdown off the board by Atlanta there, the Eagles might still win the game. That being said, I give all the credit in the world to Carson. He had a hell of a second half. He made plays, even without his top playmakers. No Deshaun Jackson, who was his top playmaker a week ago. No Alshon Jeffrey, who's a playmaker. No Dallas Goedert, who's a playmaker. Young, though he might be, playmaker. And look, Zach Ertz didn't have a great game. Okay? So another one of your top playmakers does not have a great game. Nelson Aguilar, 2 big drops, 2 touchdowns. The biggest, of course, being wide open, streaking down the sideline. Wentz hits him perfectly, can't catch the ball. And when you're playing in a game where your top weapons are gone, the veteran leaders on that offense have to step up. Zach Ertz didn't step up. Nelson Aguilar didn't step up. He had a drop in the end zone that would have been a touchdown. Then he had the big drop on the last possession that would have been a touchdown. And he makes a big catch. The funny thing about it, he drops the easy one, and he catches one in traffic on 4th and 14? Later in that drive, it's like, damn, man. And I was glad he did, but I'm like, God damn, all you had to do was catch the easy one. And there would still have been time left, and who knows, but more than likely, if the Eagles would have scored there, that would have been it. I don't think the Falcons would have won the game. Because that's demoralizing, and the Falcons just take the lead, and right away the Eagles get it back. And like I said before, you're playing a team that you've had struggles against. And if that would have happened and the Eagles scored a touchdown there, that may have been the nail in the coffin for the Falcons. And look, Carson made plays. I get it. The first half struggles and everything, and that can't be forgotten. But, man, what do we love in this town? We love players who leave it all on the field or the court or the ice. Carson left everything he had there on the field there in a week 2 game. In a week 2 game. That to me shows the guy, and I get it. I understand. Okay? We got what we always wanted a few years ago with the Super Bowl. Nick Foles was the Super Bowl MVP. I completely understand the love affair that this town has with number 9. He'll always be remembered for it, but the Eagles had a choice to make this offseason, and I still believe, all due respect to Nick, much credit and props to him for winning Super Bowl 52 and out, not only winning a Super Bowl, but being the Patriots of all teams to do it, okay? But Carson Wentz was the right choice. He's the future of this team, of this franchise at quarterback. And I know the injuries, and that's certainly, that's certainly there, and that's always going to be a concern. But I'm glad to have him here. I see some of these other franchises and the trouble that they have at quarterbacks, and and we're lucky to have him. And I still think it was the right choice of moving on from Nick and keeping Carson here as the quarterback. And some of those plays he made today, Nick doesn't make. Tom Brady doesn't make. Some of these other quarterbacks, Matt Ryan doesn't make. Some of these other quarterbacks in the league don't make. Carson makes. And I get it. It was a losing effort. I get that. But the man left everything he had on that field. And it was a week 2 game. It wasn't a playoff game. It wasn't a Super Bowl. It wasn't a game with everything on the line. You know, they were playing a more, I don't want to say desperate in week 2, but a dangerous team that really felt they had to get this win. You know, not to go 0-2 and you're playing the Eagles again and everything. The last few years, what happened. You know, and it was a hard-hit game. I mean, you know. You know, guys are hitting it, and they were hitting one another out there. You can tell there was a rivalry game. And Carson stood in there, and the offensive line played like crap. Absolute crap. The Eagles' offensive line. Penalties, and just no protection. The left side of that line was Swiss cheese out there. Was a turnstile, you know, out there. It was bad, and these guys are. I mean, this is a good offensive line, you know. And you give the Falcons credit, you give their D-line credit. They played hard. Both D-lines played hard. You know, this wasn't a game that you want to look back if you're an offensive lineman and say, well, this is how you're supposed to play, because both offensive lines didn't play that great tonight. And the Eagles certainly, that offensive line was bad tonight. That was bad, poor offensive line play by veterans, and it sucked because it's a good offensive line, and they had one of their worst performances that I can remember. And again, you do give credit where it's due to the Falcons and their defense. I will also give credit, speaking of defenses, to Jim Schwartz, and I know that this guy has been he has been a target for this fan base for a while about not adjusting and not blitzing enough and, you know, not doing the things that we, you know, why do they keep doing the same thing over and over again? Well, tonight, guess what? He adjusted. He knew that the Eagles' offense isn't going to, you know, look, I mean, with the injuries and the inconsistencies to start the game, he felt like this defense had to win the game. And to do that, you had to change. You had to blitz more. You had to get more pressure on Matt Ryan. You had to take his comfort level away. And they did that. And they got 3 turnovers because of it. One very, almost, I mean, hey, look, if the Eagles win this game, Falcon fans are going to remember that interception in the end zone by Gary. Horrible interception at that point by Matt Ryan. And that's a veteran making that play. You know, not a young, you know, quarterback in this league. And that happened because the Eagles were able to get some pressure on him. They blitzed. And look, they got caught in it on that 4th down play by Julio Jones. You know, but the defense balled out tonight. You know, there was good adjustments made by Jim Schwartz. I think Mr. Darby, that's film he might not want to watch this week because he was picked on quite a lot, and he's going to be picked on quite a lot. Hey, look, if there's a chance the Eagles can get Micah Fitzpatrick from the Dolphins, I would do it. I know they didn't go after Jadeveon Clowney, and maybe looking back on it, they should have. But you have a chance of getting a young corner, a good corner, and Fitzpatrick if the Dolphins are willing to give him up, and if it takes, you know, whatever, you know, make it happen. One of the weaknesses of this team still is the secondary, is the cornerbacks. You know, so if you have a chance to get it to upgrade at that position, you know, Howie, you might want to think about it. You might want to, you know, pick up the phone and call Miami. Because if they're open for business here with trades, I mean, they already traded Tunsil. And there's other players wanting to get out of there too. I don't blame them. And Fitzpatrick's a good young corner. If you have a chance to get him, make it happen. But, you know, we'll see. You know, we'll see what happens there. But, yeah, I mean, Ronald Darby got picked on left and right, and I don't blame him. I don't blame Matt Ryan for throwing in his direction based off the success that the Redskins had a week ago throwing in his direction. And then again tonight, Matt Ryan makes some plays. Julio Jones, Ridley, making plays against Ronald Darby. And he did come up with an interception later. Had a nice little pass defense there in the end zone in the second half as well. But, I mean, you know, the guy was getting beat like a drum. left and right, over and over and over and over and over again. And that's a problem. But at the same time, like I said about Jim Schwartz, good job. I mean, the guy did what we always were saying. Why doesn't he do? He did, and he tried to win. He tried to do their darndest to win the game themselves, because the offense was going to have problems without the playmakers out there. Now that being said, second half, like it was a week ago, different story. The offense is moving the ball. Carson Wentz was making plays left and right. That play where he was being drugged down, throwing the ball to, who was it? Hollins. Amazing throw. I mean, again, that's a play Nick Foles doesn't make. That's a play Tom Brady doesn't make. All these other quarterbacks, I mean, Carson made that play. You know, the 4th and 14, he makes a play. He would have had a first down on 4th and 8th if Zach Ertz remembered where the sticks were. But sometimes them's the breaks. You know, plays are either going to be made or they're not. So that's what makes this game so tough at times. You know, and we all remember, we've all had games as Eagle fans watching this over the years, certainly before we won a Super Bowl and since winning a Super Bowl. And it never makes it easy. It never gets easy watching it, you know, how a game unfolds like that. And there were plays to be there, and there were plays that certainly should have been made that weren't. It does. It never makes it easy. You can win 20 Super Bowls. A game like this wouldn't be easy. You know, watching at the end, because you felt like this could have been a win. But, again, look, I mean, I will still give a lot of credit to number 11. I thought he hung in there. He dealt with adversity, not just with the injuries around him, with, you know, the rib. He had some sort of rib injury there, and also with the concussion protocol. Now, he was cleared, obviously, so he came right back out. It was kind of weird, because they had McCown out there doing a drive, and all of a sudden here comes Carson again just before the end of the half, and I'm going, what's going on here? But is what it is. He played well, I thought, the second half. Not his fault they lost the game there at the end. And for all the people out there saying he can't have a game-winning drive, they do not know anything about football. They just don't, because there's a lot of things at play. When you have a quarterback that has a game-winning drive, and then you have a quarterback that doesn't, there are things at play. You know, it's not always on the quarterback. You know, the players have to make the plays if they're there to be made. And when a quarterback has a game-winning drive, guess what? The players make the plays. Yes, the quarterback makes the throws, and yeah, they're going to get all the credit, but you got to catch the ball. You got to block. You got to do all those things that you have to do to make plays work. And when you have game-winning drives, players make plays. When you don't have game-winning drives, players don't make plays. The throw to Aguilar was there. That was a touchdown throw that Aguilar drops. Zach Ertz, the play was there to get a first down. Zach Ertz forgot where the sticks were. And we've seen this before with Zach Ertz. Again, he's done a lot good as a tight end with the Eagles, including the go-ahead touchdown in Super Bowl 52 late in the fourth quarter. But there's a lot of times I think the guy just forgets where he is on the field and forgets where the first down marker is. And tonight was an example of that. They needed 8 yards. He got him 7.5. Not getting it done. But the play was there to get the first down. If the tight end just would have remembered where the sticks were or gone beyond the sticks, the play was there for a first down. It is disappointing because it was a winnable game. I mean, even with all the injuries, it's not like the Falcons were doing great shakes themselves. You know, the game was there to be had. It's just at the end, the Eagles couldn't take the game. And I'm sure Falcon fans will say, well, that's just, you know, that's what you all get because that's what happened to us the past few years. And maybe that's true. You know, what goes around comes around, the old saying and everything. I will say this. If we see them again in the playoffs, I have no doubt that the Eagles can beat this team. I have no doubt that the Eagles can beat the Falcons, whether the game is played here or there. I think if we meet up in the playoffs, if somehow these two teams meet again in the playoffs this year, I think the Eagles can beat them. I really do. I mean, yes, Julio Jones is a scary wide receiver, and Ridley, but I still feel, even though the Eagles lost this game 24-20, the Eagles are a better team. They nearly beat the Falcons again with all the injuries, losing key players, playmakers. And still the Falcons just barely got by with a win. So, I think, and certainly if Jeffrey and Jackson are playing in the playoffs, I think we can beat them. I would welcome playing the Falcons again this year in the playoffs, if it comes down to it. End of the day, though, end of the night, the Eagles lose 24-20. They're 1-1. Falcons get a win there, 1-1. They have the head-to-head win now, so we'll see how that plays out. Obviously, we'll see what the landscape looks like in the NFC. I mean, Drew Brees with the thumb. I mean, we're going to see how long he's going to be out for. Could that, affect things in the playoff race? We'll see. Obviously, the Eagles have some injuries of their own here. We're going to see how long, if at all, Alshon Jeffrey and Deshaun Jackson is going to be out. Dallas Goedert. Timmy Jernigan gets hurt in the game, which isn't good because they're already thin at the defensive tackle position. I mean, Malik Jackson 1 week. Now, Timmy Jernigan this week. It seems to be the position the Eagles are going to get injuries at every week now, it seems. But that's big. If Timmy Jernigan's out for a prolonged period of time, and I don't know what his injury was, but if he's out for a prolonged period of time, they're already thin at that position because of the injury to Malik Jackson, the season-ending Liz Frank injury to Malik Jackson, and that can be huge. I mean, the defensive line is supposed to be the strength of this defense, and they're, as this defense goes, they go. And if they're going to be real thin there, I mean, you can always make a trade and do something here and there, but if they're going to be really thin there, that's a problem. And that's a real problem. Now maybe they can go, like I said, make a move here or there, but, you can't keep going every week and losing another guy at that position. It's just, it's tough to overcome that. Nose is itching all of a sudden. I blame Atlanta for that, too. I don't know what it was about that field, man. The Eagles had all those injuries and players get slipping around. It's almost like, I don't know if they brought the right spikes or what. I have no idea. It was weird. It was very just strange. It was one of those games. It just feels when these two teams play each other, just weird, bizarre things just tend to happen, for whatever reason. But is what it is. We take the L. Nothing we can do about it as a fan. All I can do is watch the game. I have nothing to do with what happens on the field. I know there was a lot of Eagle fans who went there. They were well representative. I mean, we certainly heard the fans there. When the Falcons had the ball there at the end, there was a lot of noise. Kudos to the Eagle fans who were there. I mean, they were loud and proud. They repped the fan base well. A shame the team couldn't come away with the W, but you know what? Unfortunately, that's sports. You're going to win, you're going to lose. And tonight was a game where there were plays that should have been made on that last drive that weren't. Falcons made a play on 4th and 3. Julio Jones goes for a touchdown. I guess he feels great because he, had a chance to win the game the last couple times and couldn't do it. Now that play alone, wasn't a last-second play, so the Eagles still had the ball. Julio wasn't on the field when the when the Eagles had the ball there at the end, but it was an entertaining finish to a game that, for the most part, I think was a little lackluster there. I mean, obviously the first half, the second half certainly was better, more exciting, particularly for the Eagles. But you take stuff away. Players got to play better. Offensive line's got to do better. Secondary, I do have concerns about this secondary. I really do. And look, I mean, Julio Jones is an all-world wide receiver. Ridley is a hell of a receiver. But And I see the injury list up there now. Tim Jernigan was out with a foot. Corey Clement, shoulder. Jackson, groin. Alshon Jeffrey, calf. Goddard, calf. And you had Wentz, Aguilar, Kelsey, and Sidney Jones all going in at one point with concussion protocol. Man, that's a list right there. That is a list for injuries. Oh. But, hey, look, this team overcame some injuries a few years ago. But it is an anomaly. That is a true anomaly. You're not going to see that, all the time with teams, having injuries like that and having to overcome it. I would hope that some of these injuries that the Eagles sustained tonight are not, long term. Certainly, at the skill position, you talk about Alshon Jeffrey, who looked upset that he couldn't get on the field. So I don't know if this was like a week 15 or 16 game and the Eagles needed it to make the playoffs, if Alshon would have still been on the sideline or not. He certainly looked very dejected by not being able to be out there and playing. I even heard they stole his helmet, so he couldn't get out there. So we'll see going forward. I know the injury list will come out later in the week, and we'll know. Maybe during the press conference tomorrow, we'll have more knowledge of how long some of these guys are going to be out for. But Djax, again, if he's out for a prolonged period of time, there's your deep threat. I know Torrey Smith just retired. Hey, Torrey, you want to... Maybe they have his number on speed dial. But no, hopefully Deshaun is back. Alshon, Goddard is probably going to be a nagging thing. Apparently he had a calf injury that kept him out for practice, and obviously, the preseason during the leading into the season. So we'll see. But injuries are tough, and all teams got to put up with them. It's a rough sport. We know this. It's a rough sport, and players get hurt, and at times. It derails the season for teams. We were lucky a few years ago that it didn't. We were damn lucky. Because the injuries that the Eagles sustained that season, a lot of teams it would have been over. You lose your starting quarterback, and a lot of teams it would have been over. And again, you give a lot of credit to those players, the coaching staff, for coming in and filling in and doing what they did and giving us the ultimate gift. But you can't do that every season. And last season, injuries played a role in them, not having success, as far as going, back to a Super Bowl, I felt. And this season, it's early. It's only through 2 weeks. But if they have a lot of injuries here, it's going to be tough. It's tough to overcome it. And it's tough to keep asking a team to overcome it. If there's a team that's suitable to do it, it's the Eagles because they know how to do it. But you hate to see it. And if these guys are out for a prolonged period of time, that's a lot of weapons. That's a lot of weapons. And you're going to be going up against some teams that have, quarterbacks like the Aaron Rodgers out there in a few weeks you're going to see against Green Bay. And some of these other quarterbacks, you're going to have to win some shootout games. And without weapons, it makes it tough. And they nearly did it tonight. Give Wentz a lot of credit. Because that guy played his heart out tonight, and there was a lot of questions about that, and I think he answered a lot of those questions tonight because he made some plays that you're talking about a week 2 game with not everything on the line, and he played as if it was the Super Bowl, and that says a lot about the guy. Even with all the injuries and the inconsistencies in the first half, the great quarterbacks are the ones that forget, that have that quick, they don't remember certain things, okay? So you move on from what the mistakes that were made, you move on from that, you get better. And the greats are the ones that are able to find a way to do it and to overcome all sorts of adversity that he had to deal with tonight. Offensive line playing as poorly as they were, the injuries, and even with all of that, almost won the game. Almost won the game. I know almost only counts in horseshoes, okay? But even with everything that went wrong in the first half of this game, even with the second half fumble to start the second half on the kickoff, they had position to win this game. And a lot of that reasoning is because of number 11 and how he played. So give the guy a lot of credit. Give the guy a lot of credit. I know it wasn't a game-winning drive that everyone's always so crazed about, but give the guy a lot of credit because he played hard tonight. He overcame a lot tonight and damn near won the game. And again, I know close doesn't count in football. I get that. But receiver makes a catch, a tight end figures out where the first down marker is. It could be a different story tonight. We could be 2-0. And that's football. Hey, it worked for us in other games. It went against us here. That's football. But even with everything, we probably should be 2-0 right now. We'll see what the weeks coming in bring. Obviously, this coming a week from now it's Monday morning, but it's after midnight. But we'll see what next Sunday brings against Detroit, and then it's a short week after that against the Packers. Hopefully guys come back and the injuries aren't prolonged, because you can't keep losing talent. You can't, particularly at the skill positions. So hopefully, the injuries heal and guys, come back healthy, because this is still a team that can do some great things this season. There are things they need to tighten up. There are things they need to get better at, maybe even get some more players in these positions. But I still think that this is a team that can still go far. I think injuries are going to play a role. They will with any team. Consistency is going to play a role. But at the end of the day, I still feel this is a team that can do some great things this season. It was a tough one tonight, or last night I should say, against Atlanta. I guess they got their revenge. Congrats to them for winning a Week 2 game. But, it is what it is. I mean, they made plays. They earned that win in their favor. But you know what? You get past it now. Now it's about, we have to do all the second guessing and the what ifs, and if this player could have done that and that player could have done that. And that's the thing about football. It's a week to week deal, and you have a whole week. The unfortunate thing with it too is that there's not another game right away. With all these other sports, there's another game right away, unless it's the end of the season and it costs your season. But there's another game right away. That's the beauty of some of those other sports. It's too long a season, but there's another game. Whereas football, it's 1 week, and every loss hurts, and every win you feel good about. But we're gonna have to deal with this one. But you know what? I mean, this is still a team that should be doing some good things this season. Hopefully, like I said, the injuries aren't as severe as hopefully they're not. But tough one tonight. You take it on the chin. Unfortunately, that's the nature of the beast. That's football, and through 2 weeks now we're 1-1. Home game next week against Detroit. If I remember, and I could be wrong about this, but I don't think Detroit's ever won in Philadelphia, if I'm not mistaken about that. So that streak is on the line this Sunday against the undefeated Lions, the 1-0-1 Lions. And the Eagles, of course, are 1-1 now, and hopefully they get back in the win column against Detroit, and then a short week after that against the Packers at Lambeau. So hey, that's going to be tough. I mean, and you are going against two quarterbacks that if you let them hurt you, they will hurt you. So again, the secondary's got to tighten it up, and hopefully they can get some pressure on Mr. Stafford. But we'll talk about Lions later in the week. Right now, obviously, it's a tough 24-20 loss to the Falcons in Atlanta. So the Eagles are now, I guess, 0-1 lifetime at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium, but is what it is. Hopefully, if they have a chance at them again this season, like I said, if they play them and they get in the playoffs, I feel we can beat them. I really do. So, I would welcome taking on the Falcons again in the playoffs if it comes to it. If not, we'll see. We'll see how the season goes for both these teams. But, yeah, I mean, it is what it is through 2 weeks, 1-1. See about next week. Hope to get that dub against the Lions. Hopefully, guys come back like Djax and Jeffrey and Jernigan. And the other injuries that they had, Goddard and them, but we'll see. We'll definitely keep our eyes peeled on that injury report this week. There's a lot of guys. A lot of guys there, so we'll see. Maybe some of those injuries aren't as bad. They come back, but, we're going to certainly keep our eyes on it. We'll have to, see what, Coach Peterson says at his press conference tomorrow. But is what it is. First loss of the season, week 2, but yeah, first loss of the season. Eagles go down 24-20 in a game that was weird. Strange one. Usually is when these two teams play. I don't know what it is about these two teams playing each other in recent years, but there's been a lot of strange things going on in these games, a lot of crazy moments, and it happened again tonight. So Eagles go down. Falcons get their revenge, I guess. It makes them happy. But the Eagles go down 24-20 and are 1-1, taking on Detroit at the Link this coming Sunday. So I'll be back later in the week to try to break down the upcoming game with the Lions. We'll hopefully have this one past us at that point. Of course, the festive 4 yet again for week 3. By the way, festive again, 3-1 this week. Festive's not a fan of the Packers. But anyhow, that's it for me for this reaction vid of the week 2 loss at Atlanta. Again, 24-20, but Carson Wentz, man, made some plays in that second half, and unfortunately, Aguilar dropped what could have even possibly been the winning touchdown, but 2 of his touchdown drops in the game. Just not getting it done. It is what it is. What can you do? Inconsistencies, like I said, that's part of the game. Injuries, what can you do? Not going to use it as an excuse because there were still plays to be made that weren't. But that was a killer. That touchdown drop right there. That was tough. That was because you knew that could have been the final nail in this one. After that drop is like, man, it's tough to come back, and they almost came back from it. Almost 4th and 14, they convert, and I'm thinking at that point, I was thinking, boy, if the Eagles win this game, Falcon fans must just be, absolutely pulling their hair out saying, what do we got to do to beat this team, Because if the Eagles would have won this game, with all the injuries and all the things that happened, that would have really been interesting for Falcon fans after that one. But it is what it is. I guess congrats to Falcon fans. We still got that. But, it's okay. You guys won the game. Julio made a big play. Matt Ryan celebrated like he did it. But it's okay, Matty Ice. It's all right. We'll see. Hopefully we'll see you again in the playoffs, and we can be the one celebrating again. But anyhow, that's going to do it for me for week 2. Reaction to this game, tough one. We'll have to rebound. We'll rebound from this, and hopefully, like I said, guys can not be out for prolonged, and we can, get back to doing some good things. All right, Eagles Nation, tough one, I know, but we'll get through it, and we'll be ready for Detroit in week 3. So let's go, Birds, and I'll see you in the next one.